we saw the story that happened a couple weeks ago when the Mexican Tupacs who beat the shit out of the police in New York got out of jail, no bail, that's it, they left out. But they just beat up some cops, no big deal. But now, unfortunately, someone's dead. And it's gonna only get ugly until they figure this out. So ICE confirms, here's an article right here, that the Georgia student murder suspect had entered the US illegally and was previously arrested in New York City. This is a Fox News story. So Malik, you pull that up. Jose Antonio Ibarra, 2 R's, so we're gonna roll the R on this one.
There you go.
I learned something today. He's the murder suspect of the Georgia nursing student. Her name was Laken Riley, all right? Laken Riley. He entered the US illegally in 2002 under Joe Biden. That's just facts. And ICE confirmed this. He was previously arrested in New York City for a license violation injuring a child. ICE usually requests local law enforcement detain suspects like Ibarra, but due to New York City's sanctuary city laws, he was released before detainer. Guys, as Georgia Governor Brian Kemp says, every state is now a border state, especially the sanctuary cities. So she was a University of Georgia student who was found dead near a lake on campus. Ibarra now faces multiple charges, including malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, kidnapping, hindering a 911 call, and concealing another's death. I mean, this guy...
Disgusting.
Disgusting. So when the governor of Georgia basically says, this is Biden administration's fault, every state is now a border state. That's what's happening right now. He went on to question why illegal immigrants with criminal records are not deported. I think everyone has the exact same question at this point. What the hell's going on here? It's like when Trump did the Muslim ban and was accused of being racist or an Islamophobe, you know, it was on the heels of ISIS running amok all along the Middle East, people in America sympathizing with them. There were ISIS cells here. And he basically said, shutting it down until, quote unquote, we figure out what the hell is going on here. So now that same situation seems to be happening in America with the border. What the hell is going on here, Mr. Jake?
To be honest, I'm more interested about the incentive structures behind why they're actually coming. However, I do think that it's rather obvious that if people are coming across the southern border, they're generally going to be from lower socioeconomic classes, so they're going to probably have more of a proclivity towards violence. You're going to get a lot more gang members. So when you put them all together in a refugee facility or an asylum seeker facility before you catch and release, then you're going to get people who are troublemakers. But like I said, that seems inevitable to me. That's kind of like a bit of a yawn, to be honest. I'm more interested in the incentive structures behind why they're coming. There's clearly an incentive for these people to be coming across the border and coming illegally. And then when that incentive structure is there to be coming in that manner, then there's going to be people who are much more violent. If there's an incentive for people to come through in the correct way, then you're going to get a different caliber of person. And you're going to get people who are educated, and you're going to get people who are professionals.
Amy, you wanted to weigh in on this?
I'm just, honestly, anything that comes easy, you take for granted. You don't respect it. So agree, going back to the incentive structures, you talk about your grandparents, what they had to work, what they had to contribute. I mean, Kyla, myself, probably Jake now, as you attempt to move over here, if that's your plan, we have respect for due process. We know how expensive this was, hiring the lawyers, like, I've been going through this process for 5-6 years now. I haven't seen my family in 5-6 years. There's a lot of sacrifices we've had to make. It's a completely different conversation to people who are being incentivized to come here to get a handout. And maybe there's some people who are coming and they have good intentions and they want a better life and they're being swept up in all of this. But just like you can't build an argument off the exception to the rule, you can't build policy around an exception to the rule.
That's so
Great
good,
point.
Amy.
I want to say
that's
one
so
thing
good.
to that. You said anything that comes easy, you take for granted.
100%.
Right? There's a famous saying that you've heard before. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Well,
Okay?
it's easy,
and that's
and
what's
everyone's
going on
doing
at
it.
the border.
Yep.
It's easy. It's
So-
wide open. So you
and
know who's
everyone's
doing
it?
Everybody.
Yeah.
From all corners of the earth.
Yeah.
So I want to get your thoughts on this. So do you have what it says on the Statue of Liberty, Malik?
I'll find it.
While
Yeah,
you find that,
that's-
Kyla, do you
that's
want
not
to weigh
who's
in on
coming.
this situation that happened in Georgia?
I mean, it's just
The murder.
It's just a tragedy. Like, obviously, illegal immigration and like this like failure that's occurring is bad, right? I guess now I'll do the liberal pants stuff. So obviously, illegal immigration is not good. If you go to the border chief, what does he say? We're understaffed, we're underjudged, asylum turnover takes way too long, we have to catch and release. There is no way to detain all of these people, even though all they try to detain is typically single adults, right? And so the question is that I keep going back to is, then why was the bipartisan bill shot down? It was gonna give 1,500 extra agents, 100 extra judge, and an extra 4,300 staff for the border. And these things are like, I agree that there are legitimate issues. Another thing that you brought up that's really interesting, or you said low economic status means that they're more criminological. Now, the 2020, I'd be super curious to see the 2023-2024 data because it's not out yet. But when we actually look at migrant groups from like the teens, like 2010 to 2020, per capita, they were doing significantly less crime than even illegal migrants were doing per capita less crime than legal Gen Pop. And so a really important question is low SES doesn't actually predict recidivism or criminological, even though it's correlated. Crime tends to occur to poor people in more often and poor areas, but it's actually a pretty small select type of group who do almost like 95% of the crime. And so what's great about this bill that got shut down is there was a much tighter asylum process vetting system where basically you couldn't just say, yeah, I'm fleeing prosecution, but you had to say what specifically. You had to have certain levels of documentation or you were just turned around at the border. And Republicans said no, even though that would probably decrease asylum seekers. Some were projecting, like the progressives were saying, like 95% would be shut down. It's probably not that high, but it would be a massive reversal, and yet Republicans immediately blocked it. And so if anyone's listening to Republicans like fear-mongering you about migrants, they're just as not interested in solving this problem, and it's just as much a power grab. And we need to be really clear about who we're talking about when we say migrants, because there are legitimate crises going on, there are legitimate people that are seeking asylum, and there are people doing criminological things, and we need to vet between these two and not paint all of these groups as a similar brush, because that's where we fall into like obviously like unhealthy think.
And then, there's no doubt that Mike Johnson, and who is the Speaker of the House, if you didn't know who that was, it just sounds like the most generic dude ever, is
Pretty
sort
generic
of
white dude, yeah.
just waiting on word whatever Donald Trump says. I mean, the people of the House, the Senate, at least is a little bit more freewheeling and has more independent thought of what's going on than the Republicans in the House, no doubt. But, as much as we can sort of admonish them and basically talk shit about them, it's the leftist policies that has got us here. And AOC, you have what?
I got it.
What?
The Statue of Liberty.
Cool, give us 1 second on that. It's AOC that is sort of championing these causes of the progressive left woke. Here's what happened with AOC this week. So she was doing a town hall. Do we have that article? And a guy basically said, all you care about is illegal aliens. And hecklers torch AOC during the town hall. The Democratic representative from New York, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, faced belligerent hecklers at the Queens town hall while promoting the Green New Deal. One yelled, the Green New Deal is a scam. They're giving the NYCHA apartments away. That's the New York Community Housing Administration. They're giving illegal aliens $10,000 a day. I don't think it's a day. I think it's period per person. But he challenged him and said, I want you to debate me, AOC, debate me. This is one of the hecklers. Another heckler waved his finger at AOC screaming, secure the border now. You don't care. All you care about is illegal aliens and their votes. Okay? You don't care about your constituents. You're a disgrace. You haven't said one word about violent Venezuelan migrants or illegals. This is the conversations that is now being had in New York. The same conversations that we're having, that had in Texas, in New Mexico, Arizona, California for years. It's now happening in sanctuary cities like New York. I've seen you do a lot of content about your friend AOC. If you were going to debate AOC, what would you say to her?
Well, I think that she's kind of the clown of the left when you look at it objectively. I mean, she claims to care so much and claims to be so bleeding heart about the lower socioeconomic classes of New York. Like when she blocked the Amazon headquarters coming to New York in 2019, her claim was that this is going to affect the lower socioeconomic residents of New York and it's going to push them out of the housing market. Well, I don't see her bleeding heart compassion for those same people when there are all of these illegal immigrants coming into the state that are going to have the exact same problem. They're going to go into the lower socioeconomic places, they're going to take people's jobs, and they're going to push people out of the housing market. I think she's just a hypocrite when it comes to that. But she's not somebody who I really look to for sort of as like a barometer of a good leftist.
Well, you're smart and you have common sense. The problem is the younger generation doesn't, and Nat doesn't want them on ChatGPT or Gemini AI, but this is where they're getting their, AOC. How many followers does she have on Twitter? 10 million, if not more. Instagram. This social democrat, this socialism or democratic socialism, I can't even interpret at this point. This is what the 25 and under crowd are looking for. And there's this common sense debate that is happening in America because she's in New York. And, she can look at the Statue of Liberty and she can read the quote that's on the Statue of Liberty. And a lot of people might want to say, well, doesn't she have a point? By the way, read this quote that's on the Statue of Liberty before we move on to our last topic. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of young, teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." Honestly, some of this, I don't even know what it means at this point. If they could rewrite this, I think they should do a little bit more, dare I say.
Tempest tossed means you've gone through a hard time.
But that's they've literally created that in New York. They've created that in all these areas, but for citizens. That's the point. Is that all this "give me your tired"? We're tired.
Exactly.
I'm sure Laken Riley's poor family is tired right now.
Tired. I think if we could rewrite this, I think you guys would agree. Give me your eager, give me your resilient, your relentless, your
100%.
intelligent, your innovative, your hungry, and your gratefulness for being in America, and make sure that you love America, just like JFK once said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Don't come here to take advantage of America. Come here to contribute
100%.
to America. Whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full SOSCAST. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.